To grow food in the western United States, we built irrigation systems where the water pulls out from the river lake into a canal, out to smaller pipelines, into sprinklers or flood irrigating out to the farm. The challenge we're facing with these corridors of water, they're 100 years old. They're leaking 30 to 50% of their water. The western United States has more than 1 million diversions. 70% of them, they're going to agriculture. Being able to modernize these systems is a great way to be able to address a number of agricultural security, food security, economic development, and environmental issues.
You're creating a whole series of benefits, and those benefits often are associated with increased economic production or to keep water and steam for fish, often providing recreational benefits that bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars to local economies.
In modernizing these systems, not only are you creating construction jobs and putting people to work, there's a lot of rippling effects on the environment.
Replacing our open canal systems with pipe is definitely a way to modernize our systems to deliver enough water to our customers and give back to the river.
During the recession, we were the only concrete trucks that were running, and we kept the lights on over a dozen different businesses, and as a result you're able to stimulate the local economy.
It's getting to this space where we're thinking about where is this new mapping of infrastructure.
We've seen a lot of barriers in the past, particularly in scaling up this work. Some of those barriers relate to certainty of funding.
They're very expensive projects. How do you pay for a system like this? And it's a real challenge.
We can create a package of projects that's attractive to a wide range of funders, whether it's earned revenue opportunities, state and federal grants, or private investors. And that funding is critical to helping get some of these projects in the ground.
The whole landscape has been shaped by the development of water as a resource.
On our farm, we raise hybrid carrot seed. This area in Central Oregon is the biggest carrot seed producing area in the world. When we're competing with other countries or other geographies, we are not the lowest cost area of production. So we have to find other ways to give ourselves a competitive edge, and the way we do that is by being as efficient as possible.
We sell $42.3 million of agriculture annually in our community. More modern irrigation will be a benefit to our ranchers and our cattlemen.
We're entrusted with water, which is one of the most important resources on the planet, and so I think it's our duty to be as efficient with that resource as possible. Over the next 10, 20, 30 years, we can change the way that water is managed in the United States.
Looking at that network, not just for water purposes, but broader community benefits, will be a very key piece in looking at modern 21st century infrastructure across the western United States. I would like to welcome everyone to our panel, Vision for the Future, How to Steward the American West for the Next 100 Years. Thank you very much to our panelists for joining us today, and thank you to the National Council on Science and the Environment and Project Drawdown for putting together such an excellent conference. Aging infrastructure and expanding population, rampant wildfires, food scarcity, persistent droughts, and declining fish populations are stressing scarce water resources in the American West. Modernizing irrigation district infrastructure has the potential to provide significant impact to help solve many of these problems. This panel will provide insight into how we collectively work across the policy, advocacy, research, and implementation spectrum to increase the pace and scale of irrigation modernization and demonstrate how we bring people together to solve complex challenges. I would like to introduce our first panelist, Julie O'Shea. Julie is the founder and executive director of the Farmers Conservation Alliance. As the director of FCA, Julie has spearheaded over 50 successful irrigation modernization projects throughout the western United States, increasing agricultural security and enhancing environmental benefits. Julie, take it away.
I had to mute. Hi, thank you, Margi. I'm really excited to get to talk about this topic as irrigation modernization is one of the most transformational projects to be involved in the Western United States. Essentially, throughout the West, we have a web of canals and corridors moving water. Roughly 80% of the water being diverted is moving into agriculture. These systems were built to move water from a river or lake out to a farm, following a whole system of canals, pipes, and diversions out to individual farms. But these systems were built over 100 years ago. And with those systems through time, they've been breaking down, often losing 30 to 70% of water, requiring gigawatts of energy to be able to move water from one place to another. Water quality issues, which all lead to insecurity for agriculture, as well as environmental issues. When we started working on irrigation modernization, in particular fish screens, more than 15 years ago, we saw opportunities for win-win solutions across the board. When we started working on looking at how, at the point of diversion, could we get water out to a farm, but at the same time let fish, sticks, and leaves move downstream. We saw it created a win-win solution for agriculture by providing water consistently and lower operation and maintenance costs, and many times setting up conditions to allow for renewable energy production. Yet at the same time, as we were doing that project, that same solution also benefited fish passage, where many of our rivers in the West have endangered or threatened species. And from this work, we learned quickly that all of these projects we were looking at in irrigation modernization efforts, whether it was the fish screen or pipe or renewable energy, had so many multiple win-win solutions. So about 7 years ago, we built the Irrigation Modernization Program, where we partnered with irrigation districts in the West to help plan out that path, plan out a process to begin from where they are today with systems that are 75, 100 years old, to how do we navigate through that process and move into a place where they have a modernized, reliable system that's dynamic, that can change through time. We've been really fortunate to have such great partners across the board, whether it's organizations like Energy Trust or at the federal level, working with NRCS and Department of Energy and many others who are also working to try to solve those problems and think about how do we go about and how do we approach irrigation modernization so it rises all the tides. It's really exciting to be here and talk with others and have a conversation to think about how irrigation modernization helps benefit all communities, and also thinking where are those opportunities for collaboration. As we're thinking about those corridors of water, we're thinking about renewable energy, we're thinking about community resilience. As we're rebuilding these systems, we're looking to the opportunities to where we can rebuild in a way that allows for fiber optic and transmission and renewable energy, and really help address a number of the issues to help strengthen and build vibrant communities in rural America.
Thank you so much, Julie. Next up, I would like to introduce Dan Keppen. Dan is the Executive Director of the Family Farm Alliance, an organization working to support ensuring irrigation and water supplies are available to Western ranchers, farmers, irrigation districts, and allied industries. Take it away, Dan.
Thanks, Margi. Again, my name is Dan Keppen. I'm the Executive Director of the Family Farm Alliance. I've lived for 20 years in Oregon's Klamath Basin, which is home to some of the most contentious water battles in the American West. There's also a lot of good things happening here now, too, and Julie and her team are definitely part of that. As Margi said, the Alliance is a grassroots organization of family farmers, ranchers, irrigation districts, and allied industries in the 16 Western states. We're focused on one mission, and that's to achieve reliable, affordable water supplies to Western farmers and ranchers. We work on federal water challenges with policymakers on Capitol Hill and the federal executive branch. In the last 15 years, we've testified over 80 times before congressional committees. For family farmers and ranchers, finding solutions to constantly emerging challenges is just business as usual. Nature, the markets, and government are always finding new problems to throw at farmers. Those who are not determined, resourceful, and innovative do not succeed, at least not for long. The COVID-19 pandemic underscores the importance of safety and stability provided by domestic food production. For farmers and ranchers to survive and for food to continue to be produced in the West, a stable water supply is a necessary part of any conversation about our national food security. Shortly after the November election, we prepared a set of recommendations for the Biden-Harris transition team, outlining how we felt our priorities matched up with theirs. Two of our priorities are addressing aging water infrastructure in the West and advocating for collaborative conservation. It's critical that our country continues to invest in our water infrastructure. Before we look forward 100 years, we need to look back 100 years when some of the first federal water projects in the West, including the Klamath Project where I live, were first built. Our existing water infrastructure in the West is aging and needs to be modernized. As Western hydrology continues to change and populations expand, the need to address water security becomes even more critical. By replacing outdated infrastructure with modern technologies, farmers can do much more with less. This applies to on-farm conservation efforts too. Traditional conservation methods can no longer match the scale and complexity of 21st century environmental issues. Leveraging data, insight, local implementation, and pay-for-performance mechanics, we can transition to a precision-focused and outcome-based future. This will generate economic and environmental gains across local and watershed scales by creating jobs and rejuvenating rivers. We called for the Biden-Harris team to support just such an initiative. Water managers, ranchers, and farmers are technologically savvy, innovative, resourceful, and creative individuals. They're also bringing those attributes to bear in planning for a future where drought may be a long-term or even permanent condition. If federal agencies are willing to take lessons from these folks, the result will be better management of water for both economic purposes and environmental uses. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan. Next up, I'd like to introduce Dave Moldal. Dave is a senior program manager at the Energy Trust of Oregon, primarily responsible for helping customers develop custom renewable energy generation solutions in Oregon. Dave, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Margie. First, some background on the Energy Trust of Oregon. We're an independent nonprofit, 501c3, in business since 2002, pursuing cost-effective energy efficiency and renewable energy generation for the benefit of investor-owned utility ratepayers in Oregon. We operate under a grant agreement to the Oregon Public Utility Commission. Money we invest in energy efficiency and renewable energy generation are collected from ratepayers through the public purpose charge. So Energy Trust supports renewable energy generation two ways: through project development assistance, which is used to fund irrigation modernization, and installation incentives for projects themselves. So the irrigation modernization program was launched with FCA in 2015 following the successful installation of conduit hydropower projects in Central Oregon. Energy Trust saw the potential for more conduit hydropower with irrigation districts and recognized that past efforts failed due to a lack of comprehensive planning support, funding necessary to position irrigation districts for funding resources for piping. With this direct partnership with FCA, Energy Trust was able to leverage FCA's considerable technical and communication skills to facilitate the development of hydropower opportunities into the irrigation district's larger infrastructure modernization needs. First, our rationale for funding support. Missing from the equation was upfront funding to help irrigation districts plan for modernization. There are a number of funding sources to help move infrastructure implementation projects forward, but planning funds like Energy Trust Project Development Assistance are still relatively rare. We believe that by using development assistance to help irrigation districts plan for modernization of their infrastructure, conduit hydropower projects will be identified and moved into development. 6 years in on the program, we can confidently say that our hunch was correct. Second, irrigation modernization advances Energy Trust program goals. For Energy Trust, our goal is to accelerate conduit hydropower development. But new distributed hydropower isn't the only program benefit. Helping irrigation districts modernize, as you'll hear, often enables significant energy savings and water savings. It drives local construction jobs in rural communities while increasing the reliability of agricultural water supplies and enables environmental benefits. This is all important to local communities and many different funders interested in non-energy benefits. Finally, at program inception, we believed Energy Trust investment would leverage other funds to support modernization. We're right. Energy Trust investment has leveraged tens of millions in state funding and over $100 million in federal funding to support piping projects. As piping moves forward, it enables the conduit hydropower that we all envision. So, although the road ahead is long, we're well on our way in Oregon to modernize our state's irrigation districts. moving water that is presently flowing in open canals and laterals and ditches into pipes, and creating conditions necessary, pressure and flow, for the development of in-conduit hydropower. It's the manifestation of a long-term vision to use our scarce water resources more efficiently, create a resilient agricultural sector, generate in-conduit hydropower, and keep water in stream for fish and aquatic habitat. This has all resulted from a highly valuable partnership among FCA, Energy Trust, irrigation districts, the state of Oregon, and our federal resource agency partners.
Thank you so much, Dave. Next up, I'd like to introduce Thomas Mosier. Thomas serves as the group lead for energy systems at Idaho National Laboratory. He also leads the United States Department of Energy sponsored research on topics such as irrigation modernization. Thomas, take it away.
Great, thanks Margi. As you mentioned, I'm leading a DOE project to help support the great efforts of organizations like Farmers Conservation Alliance and others to advance irrigation modernization. One of the things that I personally find so intriguing about irrigation systems is that seemingly simple acts, such as conserving water through converting a canal to a pipe, lead to a myriad of possible benefits, ranging from the ability to plant higher value crops, generate more hydropower, leave water in stream for fish, or even perform targeted aquifer recharge so that the water can be saved in years of plenty and then used in drought years. From an energy perspective, irrigation systems are one of the most significant opportunities for new small hydropower in the Western US. Developing this hydropower could not only add clean energy to the grid, but also generate revenue for irrigation districts, provide net metering opportunities, and power local critical infrastructure if there were a blackout. And as part of the package of irrigation modernization, it provides a ton of benefits beyond energy. From a DOE perspective, this helps us advance our energy goals at the same time that we're providing real tangible benefits to communities and ecosystems throughout the Western US. One of the critical challenges we've seen with irrigation modernization is that it's expensive to do the initial pre-engineering design. Irrigation district managers know their systems better than anyone, but they often have to hire expensive consultants to help them assess the options and trade-offs for modernizing their systems. To help overcome this financial challenge, Idaho National Lab, Pacific Northwest National Lab, and Farmers Conservation Alliance are working together to build and deploy a visualization tool that's both intuitive to use and enables irrigation districts and their relevant stakeholders to think about different modernization pathways for their systems. For example, it enables them to think through what-if scenarios, such as what are some ballpark estimates of how much it would cost to pipe all or a portion of their system, and how much water could they expect to save in the process. And at the same time, it allows them to assess the other add-on benefits, such as reducing use of herbicides to kill the aquatic weeds, which saves both money and improves water quality. It also enables them to quantify increasing the recreational benefits, improve fish habitat, and the list goes on. It's also exciting that this movement is so much more than just the DOE tool that we're developing. It's real investments and changes that are happening on the ground, improving human well-being and the environment. I feel super fortunate to be able to be a part of it. So thanks for working together on this in this exciting area.
Thank you so much, Thomas. I would like to thank all of our panelists for joining us today, and we look forward to fielding your questions during our live question and answer session to come. Thank you all very much and have a wonderful day.